Hi, I'm Dr. Rachel Kennedy from the Highland Park Animal Hospital, and today I'm here to help everyone better understand kitten care. Today, my assistant John is going to be helping me by asking some questions, and our goal is to help everyone better understand their kitten care from here.
Dr. Kennedy, what is the most important thing to know about raising a healthy kitten?
Their physical health, which we kind of spearhead here at the veterinarian with preventative wellness and then sick wellness. And then secondly, it's also kind of their mental health at home, making sure kittens have a healthy diet, plenty of interactive toys, access to clean water. Things like that can really help your kitten's overall health as well as their physical health here at the vet.
What are the right and wrong ways to pick up my kitten?
Yeah, so picking up a kitten can always be a little intimidating because they're so petite. But definitely the main focuses of picking up a kitten is supporting the center of gravity, so supporting their main chest and abdomen. Typically, we avoid picking them up by the scruff, by the tail, by a leg, anything like that that can cause injuries to be avoided.
Dr. Kennedy, how can I tell if my kitten is happy and healthy?
Yeah, so kittens are notorious for having behaviors that show us that they are doing well at home. So happy and healthy kittens will eat ravenously often. They'll drink water. They'll use their litter box. Sometimes they'll play in their litter box. They'll play with string and objects at home. Always keep an eye on this because we don't want kittens eating anything that they shouldn't. But a happy, healthy kitten will be active, will have a good appetite, and will be affectionate most of the time.
How should I feed my kitten?
Yeah, so feeding kittens is actually a point of discussion in the veterinary field. Cats are very picky eaters oftentimes, and so it's important to get your kitten exposed to lots of different types of food, different textures, different flavors. Offering different kibbles and wet foods can be really helpful long term so that your cat doesn't become really selective as they age.
What are some products I might need for my kitten?
Yeah, so your core products are definitely going to be a well-balanced kitten food. We love brands like Hills, Purina, and Royal Canin. Then also litter box. Trying different types of litters, just like different types of cat foods, can also be helpful in seeing what your kitten kind of takes to the best. Lastly, toys, interactive treats, and food-related toys can also be really helpful. Also, kittens are, descendants of predators, so they like high places. They like their little cat trees, little scratching posts, things like that will really help enrich your kitten's environment.
How soon should I bring my new kitten to see a veterinarian?
So right off the bat, establishing a relationship with your vet is going to be crucial. Depending on where your kitten came from, whether it's a shelter kitten or a kitten that you found and you don't know any history about it, we always like to get them in pretty promptly, get them started on their kitten vaccinations, deworming, make sure that they're happy and healthy. Otherwise, it's going to be crucial. Even if they're up to date on vaccines and deworming from the shelter or a breeder, getting a relationship established with the vet is really important. Taking advantage of that time that you have with your veterinarian is really important. Ask about what you should be feeding, how the kitty should be using the litter box, what's an appropriate diet. Things like that can be really helpful. Do your research and make sure that you're using credible sources. The American Association of Feline Practitioners has a lot of good resources for new kitten owners and experienced kitten owners. So making sure you're taking advantage of that time and asking lots of questions can be really essential and can really provide better health for your kitten.
What will a veterinarian look for during an initial kitten care visit?
So the initial kitten care visit is going to be focused on making sure that there's no signs of infectious diseases that they might have picked up from their mother or other kittens or other street kitties that they interacted with. So looking for signs of upper respiratory infection, looking for signs of diarrhea or vomiting, GI infections, things like that. And then also looking for congenital issues, making sure they don't have any congenital heart issues or anything like that can be really helpful and really essential in that first vet visit.
What are some early signs and symptoms of health issues in your kitten? Number 1, lack of appetite.
Lack of appetite's a big one, and that can be kind of vague, but it can be very telling. Little kittens and little puppies are growing very quickly, and they typically eat a lot. And when you notice that they're not eating as much, that's definitely important. So that can be indicative of underlying GI disease, of a fever, just generally them not feeling good can lead to them not eating. That's also something that we get into with as they age, making sure that they have a diet that they like. But definitely a telltale sign of disease, and if you're noticing that appetite decrease, it's a good time to call your vet.
What about poor weight gain?
Definitely. Little puppies and kittens are very susceptible to intestinal parasites and intestinal infections that can affect the way that they absorb nutrients from their diet. So if you're noticing that they're not gaining weight appropriately, that is definitely a reason to give your vet a call. You can always weigh them. You can always bring a kitten or puppy into the vet and have it weighed most of the time for no fee. So doing that, and if you have any concerns or the pet is not gaining weight appropriately, it's a good time to investigate.
What about a swollen or painful abdomen?
Yes, definitely a reason to come in. That's generally never a good sign. So, in puppies and kittens, it's most commonly going to be related to intestinal parasites, but there's some more insidious causes of a swollen abdomen that are worth investigating, and definitely a reason to call your veterinarian.
What about lethargy?
Lethargy in kittens and puppies, as they get older, they typically get more energetic. Young kittens and puppies do take lots of naps, but in between those naps, they're ready to play and run and have fun. So if you're noticing a decrease in energy as time goes on, it's definitely a reason to investigate. Like I said, puppies and kittens can get infections. They don't have the immune system that adult animals do, and so they're more susceptible. And a decrease in appetite or energy can be an early telltale sign of that.
What about diarrhea?
Diarrhea, very common in young animals. In fact, almost all young animals will have at least one bout of it as they age. So investigating for underlying parasites will be probably the first step. But then other causes, such as a bacterial or a viral infection, can also be on the list of things to look into. So any diarrhea is definitely a reason to call your vet, especially in conjunction with vomiting, inappetence, which is not eating, or them having a decreased energy level.
What about difficulty breathing?
An emergency. That should be an immediate call. Puppies and kittens should not have any difficulty breathing. That can be related to a congenital defect or trauma. So that is always an emergency no matter what age your pet is. So that should be a call on your way to the vet.
Wheezing or coughing?
Yeah. Kittens and puppies are also susceptible to upper respiratory infections, so the occasional sneeze or cough could be a call to the vet. But if we're noticing a wheeze that progresses into labored breathing or increased abdominal effort as they're breathing, definitely a reason to get them seen pretty promptly.
Pale gums.
Pale gums, yes. Puppies and kittens are often susceptible to these parasites. A lot of intestinal parasites can result in blood loss, and we often kind of measure the amount of blood loss that we see by the color of their gums. Kittens and puppies should have nice bubblegum pink gums, and if we're noticing that they're white to pale to gray or even purple, that is definitely a reason to be seen immediately.
And eye problems.
Yeah, kittens are notorious for getting ocular issues as little kittens. So we have a variety of viral and bacterial components that lead to this, but generally they will have ocular discharge, squinting, swelling of their eyelids and conjunctiva, which is the pink part inside the eyelid. And often they'll be uncomfortable and they can have a lot of discharge, sometimes to the point where they're not able to open their eyes. This is definitely a reason to have them seen. You can gently clean some of that debris away with a moistened warm paper towel, but it's definitely worth investigating. It can be indicative of a more complex disease.
Why is it important to avoid self-diagnosing possible kitten health problems?
Yeah, so this is always something that we try to avoid, mostly because even your veterinarian just at first glance is not going to be able to tell you all the answers. So we avoid, jumping to conclusions in the event that they are the wrong conclusions and it could compromise our kitten's health. It's really important to consult the experts on these, and with the internet having so many opinions and options there, it's important to really narrow down your experts in the field, and generally that's your veterinarian who's happy to see your little kitten.
When should my kitten get vaccinations?
Yeah, so kittens and puppies, we generally start their vaccinations around 8 weeks old. This is around the time that they are weaned, but some kittens and puppies that are strays or were seen by shelters, they'll start those vaccinations earlier just because they have reduced protection from their mom. So generally with a puppy or a kitten that has been seen, we typically start them around 8 weeks.
What do you need to know about kitten behavior?
Yeah, so kitten behavior can be a bit of a conundrum from people, but generally kittens are playful and like we talked about earlier, they have ravenous appetites. Sometimes the learning to use the litter box or learning what is appropriate toys and what is not can be a bit of a challenge, but generally being aware that kittens play and they nap pretty routinely throughout the day is going to be kind of your baseline for when you can identify that is abnormal. So we've kind of talked about the abnormal behaviors that could be observed if your kitten is lethargic or exhibiting signs of a fever, but generally, kittens are very playful and very active and also take a good amount of naps. So that's kind of your baseline. If you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to give us a call. We'd be happy to get your precious pet back on a path to wellness.